Chapter 3452. Alright. Dmo Xian's thin lips curled up as he bent down and kissed her hair. Let's go to the upper realm. It was not only to restore peace to the nirvana realm. Not only to protect his brothers from getting hurt again. It was not only to make himself stronger. Only by finding out where he came from and finding his biological parents could he solve all the problems and accidents. Otherwise, as long as the divine phoenix profound heart jade, the azure dew bracelet, and the mystic flames Dubhe diagram were still with her, she would never be at peace. Even if she gave up everything. However, she was already in the tribulation. Giving up everything was equivalent to giving up one's life. The only thing she could do. It was to make use of all of this and bring out the greatest effect of these things. He had to strengthen himself and protect these things. He wanted to find his biological parents and figure out his identity. Yiqing Luo and Dmo Xian walked hand in hand as they headed towards the World Mercenary Group's temporary residence. As soon as he stepped into the palace, Yiqing Luo saw 10 overbrothers standing ramrod straight, waiting for her. Beside him stood the East Wave Sovereign and Gu Ming. Yiqing Luo was slightly stunned. Who would have thought that Gu Ming, the sect leader of the Wind Valley sect, would come all the way to the East Continent? Madam D. The East Wave Sovereign and Gu Ming immediately cupped their hands and greeted him respectfully. After they found out that Yiqing Luo had regained consciousness, they hurriedly rushed over. He personally saw that Yiqing Luo was fine. Only then did they truly feel relieved. He could see the genuine concern in their eyes. Yiqing Luo's lips curled upward slightly as she nodded towards the both of them. Many thanks to East Lawn Monarch and Sect Master Gu for your concern. No. We should be thanking you instead. The East Wave Sovereign and Gu Ming looked at each other. If it wasn't for the help of Lady Monarch and Dizun, I'm afraid, the East Wave continent would have been lost. Yiqing Luo waved her hand. This is the result of everyone uniting as one to resist the enemy, not the credit of Xian and I alone. They talked for a while more. East Wave Monarch and Gu Ming were only here to take a look at Yiqing Luo's condition. He was also a sensible person. Looking at those young lads and young ladies by the side, staring at Yiqing Luo with reddened eyes, he found an excuse to leave. Before she left, Yiqing Luo suddenly thought of something and called out to the East Wave Monarch. Do you have any instructions for me, Madam Emperor? The East Wave Sovereign asked. Yiqing Luo smiled at him. I don't have any major news. May I trouble Monarch to inform the various continents' representatives? As for the celebratory feast that the Monarch mentioned just now, Xian and I will not participate in it. We appreciate your kind intentions. The East Wave Sovereign's expression changed slightly. I won't take up too much of your time, Xian and I still have something important to do and we need to leave East Continent. But, my brothers in the World Group will be attending the celebration banquet. Yiqing Luo took a look at the crowd who were standing upright as a sliver of gentleness filled her eyes. The East Wave Sovereign's mouth twitched. Gu Ming tugged East Wave Monarch's arm as he smiled and cupped his fists towards Yiqing Luo. Then we shall not force the both of you to stay. Yiqing Luo nodded her head with a smile and her gaze fell onto the East Wave's Monarch. I hope that the thing that the East Wave's Monarch had promised me can be done as soon as possible. The East Wave's Sovereign reacted and immediately said, I have already found the item that Emperor Madam wants in the Jade Dome sect. I will send it to Emperor Madam later. Yiqing Luo thanked him. Many thanks to the East Wave Sovereign. The Azure Dragon Pearl over at the Jade Dome sect had been found. Chapter 3453. The passageway to the upper realm could also be opened. Yiqing Luo took a deep breath and calmed her emotions. She watched as East Lawn Monarch and Gu Ming left. Yiqing Luo retracted her gaze and fixed it on the rows of young men and young ladies who were standing upright in front of her. In a trance. as though she had returned to Heavenly Academy's devil class. Yiqing Luo's heart was filled with complicated feelings. There was a sour feeling as it rushed into her nose and into her eyes. This time, you've all done very well, very perfectly. Let me see that after you've grown up. You're even more perfect than what I imagined. She opened her mouth and her voice was sonorous and firm. In her mind, scenes of the past in devil class surfaced. In order to become stronger. For the group's honor. In order to protect the people around them. They fought for themselves. That kind of hard work and training. Now, they had already grown to become her biggest pride. Witnessing their hard work. Witnessing the fruits of their hard work. In Yiqing Luo's heart, other than being touched, there was also that kind of hope that her son would become a dragon and her daughter would become a phoenix. Qing Luo. Everyone looked at Yiqing Luo as their eyes turned red. Yan Xiaoyi was the first to take it as she strode out from the group. Earlier you said that you're not going to join the celebration banquet. Where are you going in such a hurry? Yiqing Luo took a look at DMO Xian. Seeing DMO Xian automatically walking towards the stone table by the side. He sat there quietly. Being a quiet, handsome man. Yiqing Luo's brows were filled with a smile as she blew a kiss to DMO Xian. Then she hooked her arm over Yan Xiaoyi's shoulder and smiled lightly. You guys can attend on my behalf. You've just awakened, rest for a period of time first. Tong Ziqing's icy cold voice was heard from the group, but her tone was filled with worry and concern. Yiqing Luo hooked Yan Xiaoyi as she walked towards the direction of the group. I know you're all worried about my body, I'm really fine. Her vision swept past everyone in front of her. The little figure who was hiding at the corner of the group slowly moved out. The girl raised her head, her gaze was empty and lifeless. That expressionless face was so cute that it made one's face bleed. She used her usual, stiff and emotionless tone, you want to go to the upper realm now. The moment her words left her mouth, the entire palace fell into a dead silence. The expressions on everyone's faces also changed. Yiqing Luo rubbed her forehead, raised her hand and poked the girl's forehead. I'm still thinking about how to open my mouth and you just said it out directly. Didn't you agree to keep it a secret for me? The girl shook her head. If you don't want to go, just say it. We can make you stay. Shadow, are you telling the truth? Qing Luo wants to go to the upper realm. Yan Xiaoyi's eyes widened as she abruptly pushed away the arm on her shoulder. He hugged the girl. Mo Yuing blinked her lifeless eyes and nodded her head stiffly. It's true, Qing Luo wants to go. Her confident tone coupled with Yiqing Luo's helpless sigh earlier. Everyone's hearts instantly changed from being touched by Yiqing Luo's awakening to panic. Yiqing Luo wanted to go to the upper realm. Then, what should they do? Was Qing Luo going to abandon them? Looking at his brother's instantly depressed and distressed expressions, Yi Zichen felt a chill run down his spine. There were also many pairs of eyes that seemed to be staring at a heartless person. This made Yiqing Luo feel helpless and heartache. She raised her head and looked at the crowd. Her lips curled into a bright smile. Chapter 3454. Hearing Yiqing Luo giving a definite answer. Everyone's expression changed drastically. I'll go too. Long Yunzhan raised his head slightly as his azure blue gaze was clear and indifferent. Tong Ziqing, who was standing beside him, suddenly stiffened. She subconsciously looked towards the person beside her. Her heart felt as though it had been pierced by something fiercely, causing a dull pain. But Tong Ziqing clenched her fists tightly as she didn't stop or reply. The others saw that the class monitor had spoken. They followed along. I'll go too. Me too. Bring me along too. The world group will not be separated. Her ears were filled with passionate cheers from the brothers. Yiqing Luo's eyes started to fill with warmth. Her slightly reddened eyes blinked slightly. The smile on her lips added some gentleness. I know your hearts and I'm very happy. No matter where I go, I'll always have you group of brothers to accompany me. She paused for a moment as her smile widened as she looked at them word by word, but I can't bring any of you along. The scene turned silent once again. The brothers looked at each other in dismay. The expressions on their faces were solemn and moved. Yan Xiaoyi clenched her fists tightly as she pursed her lips. In that case, you intend to abandon us. Yiqing Luo sighed softly. Do I look like someone who would abandon others after using them? Why did she mention heading to the upper realm? The brothers' reaction was, she was going to abandon them. Mo Yuing, who had always been emotionless, thought so. Even Yan Xiaoyi thought so. What was it about her that made them feel as though she was going to abandon them? The brothers were choked by Yiqing Luo's words. Was that how to use abandon after using them? Yiqing Luo's gaze swept past everyone as the expression on her face turned solemn and serious. Her gaze was filled with an unquestionable imposing manner. I'll give you 3 months' time to raise your profound grades to Sky Profound Realm. By then, I'll come and fetch you to the upper realm. Yiqing Luo's lips curled as she smiled at the crowd. I've already thought of this idea the moment I decided to go to the upper realm. 3 months' time. She could put down her feet in the upper realm. At least until the brothers reached the upper realm. He would not be isolated and helpless, and would not be bullied by the people of the upper realm. Everyone looked at each other, then at the people around them. In his heart, a feeling of excitement surged. In fact, everyone knew very well in their hearts. For someone as powerful as Yiqing Luo, her ability was unfathomable. He would definitely not stay in the Nirvana realm. Especially after going through one battle after another that almost destroyed the world. People from the upper realm came to the lower realm in an endless stream. They already had a premonition. However, knowing in his heart was one thing. Whether or not he was willing to do so was another matter. Don't you have any confidence? Yiqing Luo looked at their lowered eyes and silent looks as she asked with a smile. No one answered. Yiqing Luo tilted her head. Your strength and innate talent may not be the strongest or the best, but your efforts and spirit are the strongest. You were able to go from being unknown and bullied by everyone to becoming today's great heroes. I believe that you will definitely be able to meet me in the upper realm 3 months later. Yiqing Luo's expression turned solemn. She slowly raised her arms. Her imposing manner dispersed, making everyone's vision unable to shift away from Yiqing Luo. I hope that 3 months later, all of our brothers in the world group will be in the upper realm, not one of them will be missing. I want to lead you to conquer the stars. Chapter 34:55. Everyone looked at Yiqing Luo. His eyes were filled with star-like brilliance that flickered incessantly. They looked at each other, seeing each other's eyes, filled with determination. One word, as though it gathered all their energy, all their dreams, spat out from their mouths, yes. That sonorous and powerful, unwavering tone. It made the blood in Yiqing Luo's body start to boil. Her eyes sparkled as she gazed at the crowd. I believe in you, sister. Kitty Lee skipped over to Yiqing Luo's side, hugging her arm. Then when are we setting off? Kitty is homesick. Us? Yan Xiaoyi tugged Kitty Lee's ear, pulling her back to her side. You're also a member of the world group. We need to wait for 3 months, so you should wait with us obediently. Kitty Lee meowed a few times and struggled to push Yan Xiaoyi away with her little paws. You can only go after 3 months. Kitty is different from you. Kitty can go with Big Sister at any time. How is it different? Yan Xiaoyi let go of Kitty Lee as her arms crossed over her chest, staring at Kitty Lee. With a continue to fabricate, let's see what you can weave, expression. Kitty Lee's pair of animated eyes blinked as she turned her head to look at Yen Xiaoyi in an adorable manner. Her tone was filled with pride. Kitty and sister have the same bloodline inheritance of the cat race. Kitty is sister's contracted beast. Yen Xiaoyi, everyone, she had hung out with Kitty Lee for too long. She had already forgotten about it. This little kitty was actually a half-human half-cat princess of the cat race. Alright, a beast man who had a blood contract had the same bloodline inheritance. This was equivalent to those few war beasts in Yiqing Luo's pet space. All of them followed by her side. They indeed had no way to stop it. Everyone expressed their envy and jealousy. Hated themselves for not being beast men. Kitty Lee proudly raised her head and puffed out her chest as her arms hugged Yiqing Luo's waist, delightedly raising her tail as she swayed, showing her excitement. That look as though she had stolen a fish. Totally pulling hatred. Yen Xiaoyi glanced at a figure outside the courtyard as a teasing smile flashed past her eyes. She touched her chin and looked at Kitty Lee with a smile. Kitty. Are you sure you don't want to stay in the Nirvana realm and cultivate together with us? If he followed Qing Luo to the upper realm, what would happen to your young master Mo? Are you going to leave him alone in this empty room? Zhou Mo was mentioned. Kitty Lee's cheeks were dyed red. Her pink lips pursed, her little hand tugged Yiqing Luo's arm and snorted, "What about that frivolous man? He has nothing to do with Kitty. Kitty only wants big sis." Really? Yen Xiaoyi's smile turned into an evil smile as she continued to dig. Aren't you and young Master Mo together? Are you really willing to abandon young Master Mo? Kitty Lee became more and more shy as she stuffed her head into Yiqing Luo's arms. Kitty Lee will not be with that frivolous man. Kitty wants to go to the upper realm and leave him behind. The little fellow rubbed against him in all sorts of ways. Yiqing Luo had yet to appease him. It felt like an icy chill was slicing her back. Yiqing Luo's back stiffened as she glanced back. On seeing a white robe, smiling like a fox, an extremely evildoer figure. Her entire body stiffened. Then she lowered her eyes and stared at the little fellow who was still acting cute in her arms. She coughed dryly. Chapter 3456. What kind of situation was this? Yiqing Luo's head stiffened as she looked over. She met with a pair of overflowing peach blossom eyes. But that pair of soul-stirring eyes. At this moment, it was suffused with an icy cold light. His chin was slightly raised, forming a perfect arc. He sat on the stone chair with a lazy expression, as though he was distracted. But Yiqing Luo felt. From that pair of eyes, she felt a faint anger. Yiqing Luo's throat tightened as she fell into a daze. An overlord's huge vinegar jar had been overturned again. She was hugging a girl in her arms. And it was an extremely adorable girl. Being hugged by a girl like that could make one jealous. Yiqing Luo wanted to remind Kitty Lee, but her words were stuck in her throat. She looked on helplessly as the young man in white slowly walked up to her. Which was behind Kitty Lee. No one said a word. They had an expression of watching a good show. A cat's perception was extremely sensitive. From the surrounding atmosphere, Kitty Lee felt something. She raised her head from Yiqing Luo's arms. The two small ears on the top of her head moved. Just as she was about to open her mouth, she suddenly heard a devilish laughter from behind. "Little wild cat, you say? Who are you going to leave behind?" Kitty Lee's small body suddenly stiffened. Her watery eyes widened. She didn't dare to turn back. She only used a shocked gaze to look at Yiqing Luo. Yiqing Luo shook her head as she spread out her hands and sighed helplessly, indicating that she was helpless. "Little wild cat, yours truly feels that there's a need for yours truly to have a good discussion with you about our relationship. A large palm landed on Kitty Lee's shoulder. A swoosh sound was heard. Kitty Lee's body was as agile as a cat as she suddenly passed Yi Qing Luo and ran towards the direction of the palace. Yi Qing Luo's arms felt light. Zhou Mo's hand hung in midair. Yi Qing Luo coughed dryly, that young Master Mo. Zhou Mo tilted his head and curled his thin lips. That irresistibly seductive charm was filled with a naughty pressure. Don't worry, I will take good care of her. When his words fell, Zhou Mo's figure had already disappeared in front of Yi Qing Luo. Yi Qing Luo looked towards the direction where the two of them disappeared. He silently prayed for Kitty Lee. Well, she hoped that Kitty Lee would be able to come back safely when she and Ah Xian went to the upper realm. She wanted to help, but her hands were tied. She couldn't afford to have a boyfriend who could get jealous at any time. However, it was also because of the episode between Kitty Lee and Zhou Mo. The atmosphere among the crowd became much more relaxed. Yi Qing Luo immediately jogged over to Mo Xian's side and activated her pacifying mode. Ah Xian, are you bored? Do you want to come over and say goodbye to us? She looped her arms around Mo Xian's neck and threw herself into the man's arms. Mo Xian frowned slightly. Towards the world group. Mo Xian only felt that it was her Lil Luo's men. Something happened to those people. Lil Luo would be sad. He would help protect it. But towards those people, Mo Xian had no feelings at all. Everyone apparently knew that for people like Mo Xian, who existed at the top of the pyramid, like a legend, he would lower himself to protect them, and even remember their names. That was entirely on account of Yi Qing Luo's face. When they heard Yi Qing Luo asking Mo Xian to bid farewell to them, everyone's heart started to lift. They were both afraid and filled with anticipation. Chapter 3457. Yi Qing Luo naturally didn't miss the brothers' anticipating yet afraid of being hurt expression. Mo Xian was pulled up by Yi Qing Luo. The young lady pounced into his arms again. She tiptoed and hooked her arms around his neck. After that, she continued, "You're my man, what's yours is mine, my brother, is also your brother." The young lady's crisp and elegant voice floated into Mo Xian's ears. It was like a warm and gentle spring, flowing into his heart. It made a part of his heart soften. A trace of warmth and sweetness filled his heart. He had to admit. Yi Qing Luo's overbearing words pleased him. He liked his Lil Luo very much, declaring her sovereignty in front of everyone, declaring his identity. Like stamping his seal in front of everyone. Under the stamp, he was the only one who belonged to her. Mo Xian's brows slowly revealed a warm current. Under Yi Qing Luo's tugging, he stood in front of his brothers. Facing those pairs of adoration, respect and trust, as well as excited and expectant gazes. They were all young and tender faces. Mo Xian raised his head. The curve of his jawline was elegant and the curve of his lips was slightly raised. That peerless face was very eye-catching. He looked at the crowd and his thin lips moved slightly. 3 months later, I hope to see all of you, not one less. Just a few simple sentences. It made everyone's heart surged with surging hot blood. This was like an idol whom you had adored for many years, standing in front of you personally, encouraging you. That feeling was indescribable with words. They couldn't wait to use their best efforts. And they didn't want to disappoint the idol whom they had always adored, revered and believed in. Just when everyone was filled with hot blood, expressing that they would work hard. Mo Xian used his indifferent tone, "I believe in Lil Luo's foresight." Everyone. Why did it feel like they were being showered with dog food for no reason? Was it an illusion? Ha ha ha, suddenly, A loud laugh came from outside the courtyard. I haven't seen you for a long time, but the relationship between Luo and Dizun is still as good as ever. Following that, a large number of footsteps could be heard. Gue Wu's group came over together. Walking at the front was old man Gue Yu, who was dressed in the dean's uniform. Dressed in the headmaster's uniform, his hair, which was usually messy, was now neatly combed at the back of his head. From the looks of it, it did seem to be the case. Following closely behind him were the ghost doctor and holy pirate. Gue Wu, on the other hand, was walking at the very back of the group. His expression was cold and solemn as he quietly walked. Yiqing Luo took a look behind her. He did not see the Ghost King. He did not know how Holy Pirate and the others were going to deal with the Ghost King. Little Luo, I missed you so much. Come, let me hug you first. After walking into the courtyard and seeing Yiqing Luo, old man Gue Yu, who appeared to be meticulous on the surface, immediately broke through his disguise and returned to his original nature. He took large strides towards Yiqing Luo as he opened up his arms, wanting to pull her out from Dmo Xian's embrace. They had yet to make a move. A pair of ice-cold eyes stared at him. Old man Gue Yu's body stiffened. Chapter 34:58. Dmo Xian's gaze was still icy cold as he tightened his grip on Yiqing Luo. Under Dmo Xian's murderous glare, Gue Yu decisively gave up on the idea of hugging Yiqing Luo. Instead he looked at Yiqing Luo directly. Last Luo, following such an overbearing man, don't you feel tired? Yiqing Luo could obviously feel that after Gue Yu finished his sentence. His arms around her slender waist tightened even more. Apparently, this question made Dmo Xian very concerned. This old man. The moment he appeared, he was eager to stir up trouble. What the brothers said was right. Gue Yu was an old urchin. Yiqing Luo's lips twitched as she put on a serious look and firmly hugged Dmo Xian tightly. I don't think so. Xian is overbearing because he especially cares about me. Saying that, she tiptoed and hooked his neck. On his face, she planted a light kiss. I'm also overbearing, and don't allow him to have too much contact with the opposite sex. Although it was just a light kiss. But it was a dog-abusing explosive hit. Everyone. They all wanted to die. Stop fooling around, let's get down to business. Ghost Doctor patted Gue Yu's head from behind and immediately raised his eyes, looking at Yiqing Luo. You're going to the upper realm? Yiqing Luo had no intention to hide it. She looked at the main hall in front of the courtyard. Let's go in and talk. The few of them didn't reject. The group of them returned to the main hall in a grandiose manner. This palace was specially arranged by East Billow's monarch for the World Mercenary Group. They were young and casual. They didn't arrange any palace maids to serve them. Plus there were so many experts present. East Billow's monarch didn't have the guts to arrange people to spy on them secretly. In the entire palace, there was only the World Mercenary Group, Gue Yu and the rest. We know that you will go to the upper realms sooner or later. Ghost Doctor said calmly after he took his seat. Yiqing Luo lowered her eyes. This battle in Nirvana realm, after all, is because of me. If it wasn't for the help from the various teachers, Nirvana realm might not be able to win this battle. Even if we don't do anything, you and Dizun will definitely win if you join hands. Gue Wu's vision swept past Yiqing Luo and Dmo Xian. You don't need to thank us for taking action, this is our duty. I know. Yiqing Luo smiled, but I still have to thank you for protecting Nirvana realm. The Ghost Doctor and God Pirate looked at each other. You already know our identities. I don't know. Yiqing Luo shook her head honestly, but I roughly know the reason why you are in the Nirvana realm. She smiled and glanced at the few people in front of her. You've known each other for a long time, before you came to the Nirvana realm. Before the Nirvana realm. What does that mean? Don't tell me. Dean Guayu and Lord Ghost Doctor, they are actually not people from the Nirvana realm. When the world mercenary group's people heard Yi Ching Luo's words, they were all shocked. Pairs of eyes were fixed on old man Guayu and the rest. The few of them smiled calmly. Yes. Yi Ching Luo slowly stood up and walked towards them. She walked in front of old man Guayu and asked, "Should I call you Dean Guayu or Dean Guayu?" She took another step forward. Master Ghost Doctor. She took another step forward. Old man Ghost Thief. Her gaze looked towards the person sitting opposite her. Master Guayu. Chapter 34:59. When these names came out from Yi Ching Luo's mouth, everyone was stunned. They didn't understand what Yi Ching Luo meant in her words. Guayu. Guayu. God Thief. Ghost Thief. Were these their real names? Wait a minute, everyone thought of something as they muttered the remaining two names, Guayu, Ghost Doctor. And another. Ghost King. Why were these few people's names so similar? I knew it, I can't hide it from you. Ghost Doctor ignored the astonished gazes around him as he replied calmly. Guayu. Should be called Guayu now. He suddenly raised his hand and patted on Ghost Doctor's shoulder. Of course, don't you know who has taken a fancy to her? I like her cleverness. Ghost Thief changed from his usual rich man's dressing and attitude. Right now he was wearing a normal person's robe, which gave off a sense of an otherworldly expert. He stroked his neatly trimmed white beard as he smiled and nodded. Ever since we joined hands to go against the secluded palace, we have no intention to hide this matter. Even if we wanted to hide it, we can't. Yi Ching Luo followed up as she placed one hand on Guayu's shoulder. She put all her weight on Guayu's body. Guayu wanted to stretch out his hand to support Yi Ching Luo. However, a pair of ice-cold eyes locked onto her from the seat of honor. He didn't dare to touch Yi Ching Luo at all. Just like that, he allowed Yi Ching Luo to lean on him. Yi Ching Luo gave an evil smile. You bunch of incredible people are all lurking around me. Tell me, what's your motive? The few of them looked at each other in dismay. Guayu sat up straight as his shoulder, which was being pressed by Yi Ching Luo, didn't dare to droop down. He raised his right arm as he spoke righteously. I'm absolutely not lurking around you. Guayu replied calmly, me too. Ghost Doctor, Guayu replied, me too. Yi Ching Luo snorted coldly from her nose. But she gave out a low laugh. Then, what's your motive? The few of them who were speaking righteously instantly became quiet. Yi Ching Luo suddenly retracted her hand as she stood up straight and rubbed her chin. If you don't want to say, why not let me? The few of them still didn't open their mouths. A look of listening attentively, waiting for Yi Ching Luo's speculation. Everyone in the world group was already shocked by this shocking news and were unable to regain their senses for a long time. Hearing that Yi Ching Luo was going to continue to expose him, they instantly focused their attention, and their serious looks were even more serious than when they were training their mental cultivation methods in the devil class. Let me guess your identity first. Yi Ching Luo tilted her head and raised her eyebrows. Your strength has surpassed the balance of the Nirvana realm. However, you are still able to continue staying in the Nirvana realm as people who have the potential to become famous. Moreover, you do not seem to be afraid of the balance historian at all. She paused for a moment as her eyes swept over the few of them. Then, she asked word by word, your real identity should be the peace scribes who maintain the balance between the Nirvana realm and the upper realm. Historian of peace. As the name suggested, they were emissaries who maintained the peace of the plane. Just like Guayu and the others. On the surface, he appeared in front of everyone as a master, a teacher, a ghost doctor, and so on. But in fact, they came down from the upper realm. in order to maintain the balance and development of the lower realm. They were equivalent to Heaven Way's balance historian. But the peace historian was directly in the nirvana realm, protecting the peace of the nirvana realm. Chapter 3460. Las Luo. Gue Yu's eyes widened as he spoke with a shocked expression. Oh my, you even know about this? Yi Ching Luo crossed her arms as she raised her chin. The few of you, your status in the upper realm shouldn't be low. Why are you willing to become peace historians and guard nirvana realm? Yi Ching Luo raised her hand and pressed on her chest. A red profound glow blossomed from her heart. Her vision swept past those few people. You're willing to lower your status and guard nirvana realm. Is it because of this nirvana realm, the destined calamity, or because of me? The radiance which belonged to the divine phoenix profound heart jade, blossomed with alluring splendor. Just as Yi Ching Luo's words left her mouth, the expressions on the faces of the few of them changed slightly. Gue Yu coughed lightly. Las Luo, don't misunderstand, we don't have any ill intentions towards you. I know. Yi Ching Luo nodded. You all treat me sincerely, but I still want to know your real motive. She had already said it to this extent. The few of them could only sigh. What you said is right, we are indeed peace historians from the upper realm. Gue Yu said, but each of our motives are different. You should be staring at Zhu Wu Axian, observing his every move. Yi Ching Luo's brows rose. May I know Zhu Wu Axian's identity? Gue Yu's words were all choked back by Yi Ching Luo. I say, lass, how much do you know? We thought that we had concealed it very well. It's such a blow to my pride. He flicked his sleeves. I won't say. Anyway, you've already guessed it. It's too hurtful to my pride. Saying that, he turned his face to one side. His tone was filled with grumbling. Yi Ching Luo didn't press him. She was smart, so naturally she knew that Gue Yu's action. In actual fact, it was to avoid her questioning about Zhu Wu Axian's identity. Gue Yu didn't want to say. Yi Ching Luo naturally wouldn't pursue further. But Yi Ching Luo indicated that this nirvana realm was known as the abandoned plane by the upper realm. Why did so many people from the upper realm come? Zhu Wuxin's identity was definitely not simple. As for me, the reason why I came to the nirvana realm is to maintain the balance of the nirvana realm. This is to prevent the nirvana realm from falling into destruction after the prophecy arrives. Gue Wu replied in an indifferent tone. Clearly, Gue Wu's prophecy regarding the heavenly master was correct. They were also suspicious of him. Gue Yu, since the few of them came here to be some peace historian, I naturally have to come as well. Yi Ching Luo. It was indeed teacher Gue Yu's style. The ghost doctor, I was forcefully dragged down by the bandits. Yi Ching Luo looked at Ghost Thief. She recalled how the two of them clearly knew each other, yet pretended not to know each other. Yet, when they interacted with each other, there was some sort of ambiguous feeling. Yi Ching Luo. She seemed to have suddenly discovered something incredible. After everything was made clear, everyone in Devil class were all stunned by what they heard. He couldn't believe it. It turned out that the few people who had always been by their side, teaching them, accompanying them, and taking care of them, they were all experts from the upper realm. All of them had extraordinary identities. Yi Ching Luo raised her hand, as she placed it horizontally in front of everyone, making everyone's gazes converged onto her. Chapter 3461. Everyone was dumbstruck. Concealing one's identity, having ulterior motives, intentionally lying in ambush, definitely cannot be worshipped. Yi Ching Luo snorted. Everyone was still in a daze. The few of them had a change of expression. Guiyu pounced forward as he cried out, "Last Luo, don't be like this. How did we lie to you? You can't deprive the students of worshipping us." He was howling as he pounced forward. But just as he was about to pounce onto Yiqing Luo, Guiyu was once again forced back by an icy cold glare. Ghost Thief had a bitter look. "I've finally let this bunch of brats worship me and you're just stopping me like this. Can't you have some virtue of respecting your elders?" The two of them howled, making everyone unable to restrain their laughter. "You! The both of you, your identities have already been pointed out, still making a fuss. Can't you learn from Master Ghost Doctor and Master Ghost Marshal, to be more mature and steady?" Yiqing Luo rolled her eyes at the two clowns. Guiyu and Ghost Thief exchanged glances and immediately looked towards Yiqing Luo in unison as they shook their heads. "No. What's the use of being mature and steady? We still can't let this bunch of brats worship us. Io, they're still acting tsundere." After this commotion, the atmosphere became much more relaxed. The members of the world group were rather quick-witted. "Seniors have taken good care of us. Since you're our masters for a day, you'll be our masters for life. No matter what your identities are, you're the best masters in our hearts." These words weren't only for Guiyu. There was also Ghost Doctor, Ghost Thief, Ghost Marshal and the others. No matter if it was on account of Yiqing Luo. It was because of their hard work, allowing the seniors to see it. All the hard work and guidance the seniors had given them, they remembered it all in their hearts. Worship and reverence, these were all inevitable. And all came from the bottom of their hearts. Hearing the world group's children being so obedient, the few of them then revealed a smile on their faces. After fooling around for a while, Yiqing Luo changed the topic back to the main topic. "Nirvana Realm's battle has ended. Are you guys going to continue staying in Nirvana Realm or return to the upper realm?" The Ghost Thief was silent for a while. "I will probably stay in the Nirvana Realm. The calamity predicted by the Heavenly Master has passed, and the Nirvana Realm is not stable now. I need to stay here just in case." Guiyu looked at Gui Bandit. "Will the Ghost King agree?" The bandit was taken aback. His carefree expression loosened, but he didn't say anything. "Ghost Lord and Ghost Thief. What is the relationship between you two?" Yiqing Luo had been curious about this question for a long time. When the Ghost King saw her using the teleportation secret technique, it was a look of hatred and nostalgia. Until now, Yiqing Luo still remembered it clearly. Later on, when the Ghost King and the Ghost Bandits met, the atmosphere between the two of them. It could be seen that the Ghost King hated the Ghost Bandits, but he also had an indescribable feeling for them. As for the Ghost Bandits, they seemed to have let down the Ghost King. Thinking of this, why did Yiqing Luo suddenly feel that this seemed to be a plot of various kinds of misunderstandings of an overbearing CEO? The two of them, who loved and hated each other and had all kinds of misunderstandings, were reunited. Following that, a love and hate drama unfolded once again. Yiqing Luo. She suddenly had a hair-raising feeling. What should she do? Her gaze looked towards Ghost Doctor with an incomparable heartache. The Ghost Doctor was startled by the sudden heartache in his eyes. He frowned. "What nonsense are you thinking about again?" Chapter 3462. Ghost Doctor's gaze was suspicious as he felt that Yiqing Luo's gaze was a little strange. His brows knitted even tighter as he replied calmly, "Ghost King and Ghost Thief are biological brothers. Because of some reason, Ghost King left Ghost Thief's family." Biological brothers. Wasn't it a drama of love and hate between overbearing CEO? How did it turn into brotherly love and family hatred? "I will let Ghost King accompany me in Nirvana Realm." Ghost Thief's mood was obviously gloomy when he mentioned Ghost King. He paused as he looked at Yiqing Luo. "You don't have to worry that Ghost King will listen to the orders of Secluded Palace and do something against you. I will keep an eye on him. Ghost Thief's gaze didn't have the usual mischievous look. It was filled with seriousness. Indistinctly, there was a hint of pleading in it. Yiqing Luo saw this pleading clearly. She was stunned as she realized Ghost Thief's meaning as her pink lips curled into a smile. I believe in you and also believe in the relationship between your team. Ghost Thief was worried about Dmo Xian. Because the Ghost King had hurt her time and time again. If Dmo Xian pursued the matter, Ghost King's life would be in danger. Towards Ghost King, Yiqing Luo didn't have much hatred. Especially after knowing the relationship between Ghost King and Ghost Thief. Yiqing Luo could also understand the reason why Ghost King and Secluded Palace cooperated. On the surface, it looked like it was to take revenge on her brother, to take revenge on the family that abandoned her. But in actual fact, it was to attract Ghost Thief's attention. And on the battlefield, Ghost Thief helped Ghost King to block Dmo Xian's intimidation. Ghost King's heart should have been shaken. Because they cared about each other. That was why there was so much love and killing. She believed that Ghost Thief and Ghost King could repair their brotherly relationship. What about you guys? Yiqing Luo looked at Ghost Marshal and the rest. Ghost Doctor went silent for a moment. I want to wait for Nirvana Realm to stabilize before leaving. Guai Yu opened his mouth, but then he thought of something and grabbed his head. Why was I so stupid back then? Why did I insist on becoming the dean? Before Mei finds the next director of Heavenly Academy, I can't follow Las Luo to roam the upper realm. Yiqing Luo. Roam the upper realm. She was obviously going to the upper realm to do official business. How was it? The corner of her mouth twitched. Then, in an obviously deceiving tone, he smiled and said, "This means that you, Teacher Guai Yu, are very powerful. The Heavenly Academy still needs to rely on you, just obediently be your dean, and my group of brothers will be handed over to you." Guai Yu's eyes lit up and he patted his chest. "No problem, leave it to me. I'm such a powerful person, that's nothing." Everyone, Guai Wu and the rest, just like that, he fell into Yiqing Luo's trap. Dean Guai Yu, you are still too naive. Master Guai Wu, how about you? After appeasing Guai Yu, Yiqing Luo shifted her line of sight onto Guai Wu. She could roughly guess Guai Wu's choice. As expected, Guai Wu said, "I will go with you to the upper realm." It wasn't that Guai Wu wanted to follow them. Instead, it was Zhou Mo Kitty Li, who had contracted the bloodline of the Beast Men, was bound to follow her to the upper realm. In order to chase after his wife, Zhou Mo would also come along. Since Zhou Mo was here, Guai Wu would naturally be here as well. Moreover, the Nirvana realm had Guai Yu and the others. They might not seem reliable, but they were actually very reliable. There was no need to worry. Chapter 3463. In the 4 sacred beast pearls, there were remnants of the God Emperor's profound energy before he passed away. Once the passageway to the upper realm was opened, the remaining profound energy in the 4 sacred beast pearls could possibly spread throughout the entire Nirvana realm, or even the upper realm. Although she followed Jun Qingwu's suggestion, using the 4 sacred beasts' heart's blood, to contract the sacred beast pearls as her lifeline, to seal the divine phoenix's remaining energy. But she had to make a foolproof plan. What if the contract failed? That extremely ambitious person behind the scenes of the Nether Palace would absolutely not let it go so easily. That person definitely knew that she was gathering the 4 sacred beast pearls to open the passageway to the upper realm. It was highly possible that he had a huge interest in the remaining God Emperor's profound energy in the 4 sacred beast pearls. If there were these few Guai family seniors guarding by the side, at least, the degree of safety would increase by a lot. So urgent. Guai, you couldn't sit still any longer. I came all the way from the West Continent just to see you and you're leaving just like that. Yi Qing Luo pursed her lips. For the safety of Nirvana realm and the safety of our brothers, it's better for me to head to the upper realm earlier. Pausing, she raised her head and her lips curled into a smile. It's not like we won't meet again. 3 months' time, Nirvana realm will more or less settle down. Guiyu scratched his head, his meticulous hair was messed up again. He still wanted to say something. Ghost Doctor stretched out his hand and stopped him. Following that, Ghost Doctor looked at Yi Qing Luo. You're right, it's not like we won't meet again. Guiyu was a little sullen as he gave a heavy harumph and leaned back on his seat. Yi Qing Luo smiled. The group of them discussed about the sacred beast pearls and heading to the upper realm for a while more. Until they were about to leave. Guiyu suddenly thought of something. That's right, last Luo, Xiaoyu asked me to pass you a letter, I almost forgot about it. As he said that, he was feeling around in his arms. Upon mentioning Yi Fengyu's name, Yi Qing Luo's eyelashes trembled. In front of her, that young and handsome face seemed to appear. It had been so long. She hadn't seen Xiaoyu for a long time. In this battle, Yi Fengyu actually wanted to follow the members of the World Mercenary Group and rush to the East Wave continent together. It wasn't just to see Yi Qing Luo. He also wanted to contribute to the Nirvana realm. It was only because the Western continent had yet to stabilize after the previous battle. Yi Fengyu had just taken over the position of the Three Springs sect leader. After all, he was still young. If he could find the time to rush to the East Billow continent to participate in the war, he would have to be prepared. The Western continent would be in chaos. Even Yi Fengru's current performance was indeed conscientious, wholeheartedly assisting Yi Fengru. However, Yi Fengru had a criminal record. Even if you don't use the person you suspect, don't suspect the person you use. Yi Fengyu also didn't want to hand over the Three Springs sect that his sister had worked so hard to obtain for him to Yi Fengru. Therefore, after much consideration, Yi Fengyu decided to stay on the Western continent. He took the letter from Guiyu. The letter was a little dry and dirty. Yi Qing Luo caressed the letter, her brows overflowed with a slight gentleness. Yi Fengyu wasn't her biological younger brother. But in her heart, Yi Fengyu was her family. Quick, open it and see what that young lad said to you. The world group's faces were filled with smiles. They often hung out with Yi Fengyu. Chapter 34-64. Looking at the crowd's urging looks. Yi Qing Luo's lips curled as she opened the letter. There were several pages of letter inside and the words filled the entire page. These were all Yi Fengyu's longing and concern for her. Yi Qing Luo returned to Dmo Xian's side and read Yi Fengyu's letter with him. She could tell from the contents of the letter. Yi Fengyu had really grown up. He was no longer the younger brother who needed her protection. In between the lines, when he explained his current situation, it was filled with concern for Yi Qing Luo. In the letter, he reported the good news and not the bad news. He had managed Three Springs sect very well. But he didn't mention a single word about how much effort he had put in to manage Three Springs sect. On the letter, Yi Fengyu even asked when she would return to West Continent. He even asked when she was getting married to Dmo Xian and that she must not do it behind his back, secretly getting married to Dmo Xian. When she read the last part of the letter, Yi Qing Luo's smiling eyes widened slightly. She raised her eyes as she looked at the World Group brothers. Little Yu and Ziling are together. Previously she could tell that Ziling that lass had some feelings for Yi Fengyu. But she didn't think too much about it. She had not expected that. They really got together. The brothers in the World Group nodded their heads vigorously. A few of them covered their faces and wailed. In the past when Madame Qing Luo was around, we ate your and Overlord's dog food daily. Later on when you left, we ate Xiao Yi and Xiao Jin's dog food daily. Later on, even Sovereign was torturing us. From this, it could be seen. Yi Fengyu and Ziling that last had a very good relationship. Yi Qing Luo touched her chin as she folded the letter and kept it into the profound phoenix ring. As the saying goes, fertile water should not flow to outsiders. Ziling was brought up by me personally, and little Yu was able to grab hold of the opportunity to cheat Ziling into his hands. Not bad at all. Sovereign has already said that if he gets married, you must appear, otherwise he and Ziling will not get married. Yan Xiaoyi's brows rose, so in order to not let the fertile water in your mouth flow to other fields, you'd better quickly settle the matters in the upper realm. No matter what, you have to make a trip back to West Continent. Yi Qing Luo smiled, of course. To prevent any accidents from happening later, when the passageway to the upper realm was opened, Yi Qing Luo asked everyone to return to their rooms to rest first. She and Dmo Xian returned to their room. The minute they entered the room, Dmo Xian circled her waist. Look, it's not only me who can't get married because of you, even that younger brother of yours can't get married because of you. Yi Qing Luo patted his hand. How did I delay you? I want to marry you. Dmo Xian placed his chin on her shoulder, his voice was low and hoarse. That warm breath seemed to be deliberately seducing her as it drifted over her earlobe. Yi Qing Luo's petite body trembled as her cheeks flushed red. There are so many ladies who want to marry you. Since you want to get married so badly, just find any one of them to get married. In her tone, there was a coquettishness that she had never shown before. The hand around her waist tightened. The man saw her body stiffen up. The two of them looked at each other. He bowed his head, his shimmering peach blossom eyes were like the vast stars, deep and enchanting. Just one look and one would sink into it, unable to extricate themselves. A warm kiss fell on Yi Qing Luo's lips. The action was very slow. Extremely gentle. Between the lips and teeth, his even more enchanting and deep voice floated over. Chapter 3465. Like a vow, Yi Qing Luo's heart seemed to be wrapped with a layer of honey. Sweet happiness was spreading in his heart. Her hand circled around Dmo Xian's neck and deepened the kiss. The azure dragon pearl was quickly sent to Yi Qing Luo's hands. The 4 sacred beasts' pearls were all gathered in Yi Qing Luo's hands. Looking at the 4 pieces of different colored sacred beasts' pearls, Yi Qing Luo decided to go into the azure dew bracelet first and summon the 4 sacred beasts' consciousness into the bracelet to discuss. The 4 sacred beasts' pearls had a close relationship with the 4 of them after all. No matter what decision she made, she should ask for their opinion. After greeting Dmo Xian, she entered the azure dew bracelet. The 4 sacred beasts' consciousness also entered the azure dew bracelet. 2 people and 4 beasts stared at each other. Yi Qing Luo beckoned to Chi-Chi. Chi-Chi obediently burrowed into Yi Qing Luo's arms. She stroked Chi-Chi's soft fur, curled her lips and looked at the sacred beasts. Do you know that I want to open the passage to the upper realm? Chi-Chi rubbed against her palm. I know, whatever Master wants to do, go ahead and do it. Chi-Chi and the brothers will definitely support Master. Yi Qing Luo pursed her lips. In order to continue sealing the profound energy of the Emperor of God, to open the passage, there is only one way. She took a deep breath. Her gaze was a little gloomy. I need your heart blood. The sacred beasts looked at each other and immediately looked at Yi Qing Luo, without giving any response. Yi Qing Luo continued. Xiao Qingwu said before, only by contracting the sacred beast's pearls as one's own lifeline, can the Emperor of God's power be sealed in the sacred beast's pearls. I've heard about the sacred beast's pearls. Azure Dragon's calm voice, in the quiet and spacious azure dew bracelet, was very deep. Its green dragon eyes looked deeply at Yi Qing Luo. Generally speaking, ordinary people will choose to directly use the 4 sacred beasts' pearls to open the entrance, to absorb the power sealed in the sacred beasts' pearls, to enhance their own strength. Why, instead, do you want to take the risk and seal this power? Indeed. Opening the entrance, the remaining power of the Emperor of God, although would spread throughout the upper realm. But it didn't mean that the people of the upper realm could immediately lock the position here. Success comes with risks. If he was lucky, he would be able to obtain the remaining power of the Divine Emperor. He was definitely an existence that could stir up a storm. Normal people wouldn't choose to do something as risky as contracting the lifeline pearl. Yi Qing Luo's lips curled slightly, because, I cannot take the risk. Her expression was very calm, and her charming eyes were also very calm. I'm too conspicuous, and I have too many things on me. I can't guarantee that I'll be able to protect these important things after I absorb the remaining energy. The 4 sacred beast pearls are the heirlooms that the 4 great sects have guarded for generations. Since I made them violate their ancestral teachings and borrow the sacred beast pearls, I have to take responsibility for it. I can't let the sacred beast pearl become something that others can fight over. Yi Qing Luo's tone was very indifferent, without much emotion. The azure dragon waved his whiskers and did not ask any more questions. Chapter 3466. Yi Qing Luo took a deep breath, making her tone even more tranquil. I don't want to make a decision for you. If you're not willing, we'll choose another way. Her tone was calm. But from Yi Qing Luo's eyes, there was a slight tremble. It showed her complicated feelings at this moment. You don't need to have any other pressure. Just because I'm your master, you don't have to give in to me. To me, you're not only my contracted battle pet, but also my brothers, partners. The fluctuation in Yi Qing Luo's eyes gradually receded. She pursed her lips and looked at them firmly, so, you can express your opinion according to your own thoughts. Chi has no opinion. Chi raised its head, its bright eyes were filled with trust towards Yi Qing Luo. Yi Qing Luo's lips curled as she caressed its little head. If the sacred beast bead is plundered by someone and turns into ashes, you will all lose your life source and turn into sacred beast stone statues. Forever unable to awaken, this consequence is very serious. You must think carefully, don't answer me so quickly. Chi has thought clearly. Chi shook its little head and continued to speak seriously. Before it could finish its words, Old Man Tsang, who had been floating in mid-air leisurely as if he was asleep, suddenly opened his mouth. Lass, what you said earlier, is there another way? Yi Qing Luo raised her head. Yes. You intend to directly open the passage to the upper realm. And then use your own body to absorb all the remaining energy from the Emperor of God and the sacred beast bead? Old Man Tsang floated down and squeezed in front of Yi Qing Luo. Yi Qing Luo pondered for a moment and nodded, yes. Are you sure that your body can withstand the sealed energy in the sacred beast bead? And are you sure that you can guarantee that you can escape unscathed when this energy spreads throughout the upper realm and attract a bunch of people to plunder it? Old Man Tsang's expression was solemn and his tone was anxious. You just said that you don't want to take the risk. You know very well the consequences of choosing this method to open the entrance. Yi Qing Luo fell into silence. After a while, she pursed her lips and said firmly, maybe, I can. After absorbing the sealed energy, maybe I can protect everyone. As you said, it's just a possibility. Old Man Tsang interrupted Yi Qing Luo's words, I won't let you take the risk. You yourself said that you won't take the risk. This method is out of the question. Yi Qing Luo lowered her eyelids and sighed. Indeed, she did not want to take any risks. However, which of the 2 ways to open the passage wasn't risky? Only one was her risk. One was just the 4 sacred beasts risking their lives. However, if the 4 sacred beasts were unwilling to do so, she didn't want to force him. He would not blame the other party either. That's enough. We haven't even said anything, and you guys are already arguing. Qi Yan snorted and waved his wings impatiently. Do you still need to ask us about this kind of thing? The azure dragon shook its head. Since you treat us as your partners, we will naturally treat you as a partner that we can trust. That's right, if we don't trust you, how can we contract with you? Qi Yan flapped his wings and approached Yi Qing Luo. Who are we? For holy beasts. Do we look like beasts without any sense of loyalty? Chapter 3467. The few sacred beasts' pet faces came close to her eyes, baring their fangs and brandishing their claws. But their mouths were saying extremely warm words. Yi Qing Luo's brows were filled with a faint smile. She was fortunate to have this group of companions. Thank you. She stretched out her hand and hugged the 4 little companions. I will protect you and protect the sacred beast bead. After asking for the opinions of the few little companions, Yi Qing Luo didn't waste any more time. After informing everyone, she decided to head towards the upper realm directly. Time was of the essence and everyone wanted to retain her. But they also knew that they couldn't do so. Yi Qing Luo didn't create a sensation to the extent where everyone knew about it. She only explained to the World Group's brothers, Gue Wu and the others. Not only did she not want Nirvana realm to fall into unnecessary panic, it was also to prevent the mastermind from stirring up trouble. The battle in the Nirvana realm had already exhausted everyone's energy. It was not easy for the Nirvana realm to welcome the first ray of sunlight of new life. If the news of her and Dmo Xian leaving Nirvana realm was known to the people of Nirvana realm, everyone would definitely be flustered. Dmo Xian was just preparing to set up the barrier. East Wave's monarch and Gu Ming came together. After seeing that the courtyard was covered with people's blood, East Wave's monarch revealed a smile. I guessed that Madam would leave East Wave's continent after getting the Azure Dragon Pearl. Indeed, I was right. When everyone saw East Wave's monarch, their expressions changed slightly as they looked at him warily. East Wave's monarch, why are you here? Yi Qing Luo raised her hand, indicating for everyone not to be rash as she smiled at the both of them. Brother Gu and I are here to bid farewell. East Wave's monarch cupped his fists towards Yi Qing Luo. Madam and Overlord are both dragons and phoenixes among men. East Wave's continent will definitely not be able to keep you. Yi Qing Luo smiled. Everyone has their own ambitions. I only want to go sightseeing with Ah Xian, roam around and occasionally meet up with my brothers. This is the life I want. We all know and have never thought of retaining the both of you. East Wave's monarch was all smiles. Yi Qing Luo pursed her lips as she took a look at East Wave's monarch. Following that, her gaze met with Dmo Xian. He had to admit that the East Wave's sovereign was a smart man. From his words, it sounded like he respected them very much. Indeed, he was very respectful towards them. But, the East Wave's sovereign had already guessed something. It wasn't that the East Wave continent couldn't keep them. It was because the Nirvana realm couldn't keep them. Yi Qing Luo liked to deal with intelligent people. At the very least, they could understand each other. Sovereign of the East Wave. Yi Qing Luo muttered to herself as she smiled, the agreement between us will always be effective. As for Jade Dome Sect, I'll have to trouble you to take good care of young Sect Master and nurture him to inherit the position of Sect Master. In other words, as long as the East Wave Sovereign maintained the balance of the continent and supported the Jade Dome Sect's young Sect Master to ascend to the position, the East Wave Sovereign would be able to maintain the balance of the continent. He didn't have any other ambitions or schemes. The safety of the East Continent was her responsibility. This was their agreement. After receiving a definite answer, the smile on East Wave Continent's face became even wider. If that's the case, then many thanks, Imperial Madam. Saying that, he didn't intend to disturb Yi Qing Luo and the rest. He pulled Gu Ming and was about to leave. Gu Ming's face was also smiling. But looking at Yi Qing Luo, he was obviously hesitant to speak. Yi Qing Luo couldn't help but ask, does sect master Gu have anything to say to me? Chapter 3468. Gu Ming licked his dry lips and clenched his fingers nervously. His vision kept darting towards Dmo Xian, who was by the side. After hesitating for a long while, he seemed to have figured something out. Closing his eyes, he straightened his neck and said, "To tell you the truth, ever since my son Gu Jingyu did those things to Madame D in the Imperial Palace, I have locked him up in the dungeon and strictly guarded him." But, Gu Ming's expression was a little ugly. "My son, Gu Jingyu, disappeared before the great battle." Gu Jingyu disappeared. Yi Qing Luo frowned. "You're worried that because of his identity as Gu Feng sect's young matriarch, he would be taken away by the dark forces?" Gu Ming shook his head. "Every appointed young lord of the four major sects will have a close relationship with the sect. I can sense that my son is still alive." He hesitated and stopped talking. She glanced at Dmo Xian from the corner of her eyes, who had a rather unfriendly expression. He subconsciously leaned towards Yi Qing Luo's direction. If my son is looking for you, I hope you can tell my son that the Wind Valley sect still needs him." After saying this, Gu Ming immediately lowered his head. He didn't even dare to take another look at Yi Qing Luo. More accurately, she did not dare to look at Dmo Xian's face. He was talking about other men with Lady D in front of Di Zun. This was a taboo. But Gu Ming had no other choice. Gu Jingyu had disappeared, and there had been no news of him for many days. Even in this great battle that almost destroyed the Nirvana realm, Gu Jingyu did not appear. He was really worried about Gu Jingyu's situation. As for Gu Jingyu's feelings towards Yi Qing Luo, he knew that. She could only hope that Gu Jingyu still remembered Qing Luo and would take the initiative to look for Yi Qing Luo. This question, Yi Qing Luo swallowed a mouthful of saliva and finally understood the reason why Gu Ming was so hesitant. Her peripheral vision shot a glance towards Dmo Xian's direction. His complexion was indeed quite unsightly. His eyes widened as if he wanted to teach her a lesson. Yi Qing Luo rubbed her arms, indicating that she was shivering. How should she respond to this question? If he agreed, was Dmo Xian really going to hack Gu Ming? If he did not respond, looking at Gu Ming's pleading and perturbed eyes, her heart softened. Pondering for a moment, her expression was one of facing death with equanimity. "Sect leader Gu, don't worry. If I'm able to meet young sect leader Gu, I'll definitely bring your words to him." As soon as he finished speaking, Yi Qing Luo felt an eerie chill invading her back. Cough. "If you have nothing else, please leave first. I still have to say goodbye to my brothers." Yi Qing Luo gave Gu Ming a look. Gu Ming was sweating profusely when he made this request. Hearing Yi Qing Luo's words, he dragged the East Wave Monarch and left the courtyard. It was as if a ferocious beast was chasing after her. The man's face was cold and his gaze was like a sharp blade. He was shrouded in a low pressure, but he did not get angry and chase after Gu Ming. Instead, he stared straight at Yi Qing Luo. The atmosphere of the entire courtyard was shrouded in cold air. Everyone did their best to suppress their presence. He indicated that he wanted to silently watch Yi Qing Luo's pacifying skills. Yi Qing Luo's back was still chilly. There was a boyfriend who loved to be jealous, jealous at any moment, jealous at any time. She really couldn't stand it. She straightened her back and her charming eyes met with Dmo Xian's gaze. Facing the pressure that was pouring down on him, he withstood the cold gaze. Chapter 3469. Xian, Yi Qing Luo played the same old trick as she pounced into Dmo Xian's arms. The man was sitting on the stone chair with an expressionless face. Yi Qing Luo's pounce landed on his thigh. Her arms wrapped around his neck as she explained, "I agreed to him, not because I want to meet young sect master Gu. It's because there's no extra relationship between me and young sect master Gu. that's why I dared to agree to him without any misgivings, isn't it? She sat up straight as she looked seriously at the emotionless Dmo Xian. If I'm secretive and don't dare to agree to Sect Master Gu's request, then I really have a guilty conscience. Dmo Xian's eyelashes moved, but he still didn't say a single word. Yiqing Luo might as well make a big move as she ignored the crowd's gazes and directly hugged Dmo Xian as she planted a kiss on his thin lips, causing the surrounding crowd to let out a huff sound of ridicule. Moreover, young Sect Master Gu has disappeared and he doesn't even return to his own sect, so he might not even come looking for me. If he saw him, helping Sect Master Gu to pass on a message is just on the way. Yiqing Luo's slender fingers pinched Dmo Xian's face, still jealous. The surrounding members of the world group all covered their eyes as they made a ruckus by the side. Gue Yu covered his own eyes. You two young lads, can't you have some virtue of respecting your elders? Stimulating my heart like this, aren't you afraid that I won't be able to take it and die suddenly? My eyes are going to go blind. Ghost Thief also played along as he pounced forward to cover Ghost Doctor's eyes. Ghost Doctor frowned as he pushed Ghost Thief impatiently. In this bustling atmosphere, Dmo Xian finally moved. His eyelashes fluttered a few times. Then he raised his chin. His peach blossom eyes sparkled with a dazzling luster. His thin lips curled upwards. His lips were curved into a smile. But it was a little cold. He raised his hand and his slender fingers caught that little hand which was messing around by the side of his face. When he met Yiqing Luo's gaze, a soul-stealing whirlpool was swept in the depths of his eyes, deep and serene. Not knowing why, under this gaze, Yiqing Luo felt that the big palm which held her little hand seemed to be on fire, scorching her delicate body. An inexplicable heat radiated from his body. She felt herself heating up. Her long and thick eyelashes fluttered. What was reflected in her eyes was the man's peerlessly handsome face. Then, she looked at the reflection of that face in her eyes. Her thin lips curled into an extremely shallow but seductive smile. I'm not angry. A husky and magnetic male fertility voice rang in her ears. It was also mixed with the elegant sandalwood scent of the man. Yiqing Luo's eyes were blurred as she stared fixedly at the peerless beauty in front of her. After those 4 words entered his ears clearly and he digested them, Yiqing Luo's gaze suddenly cleared up. Then, her eyes widened. What did you say? She really couldn't hold herself back with this wave of handsome man tactics. His mind was a little muddled. Do I look like someone who gets jealous easily? Dmo Xian gave her a cold glance. Yiqing Luo wanted to reply, you don't, because you are. She really wanted to interview Dmo Xian. What was it that gave him the courage to drink several vats of vinegar in a matter of minutes, to ask in such a shameless manner whether he looked like someone who got jealous easily? But under that peerless beauty of a handsome man. Chapter 3470. No. This wasn't considered as having no backbone. She was merely speaking the truth. I'm just too lazy to talk. Dmo Xian cast a lazy glance. You have the time to come over here to grope me and molest me. Have you learnt the method to open the upper realms passage? Yiqing Luo. Do something to him. Molest him. Was he serious when he said this? Don't think she couldn't tell. He did it on purpose. She obviously acted coquettishly and acted cute, and even accompanied with kisses, which made his heart extremely satisfied. Still pretending on purpose. Heh, men. Yiqing Luo gave a cold harumph towards Dmo Xian and immediately stood up. As she patted her wrinkled robes, she looked at the group of indecent people. Go, let's open the upper realm. Behind her, the man whose arms were empty, lowered his eyes slightly. He adjusted his posture, appearing even more lazy. He tilted his head and looked at Yi-Ching Luo lazily as his lips curled. Are you going to abandon me after you've laid your hands on me? Yi-Ching Luo's footsteps took a halt. Abandon was used in this way. This was the real Dmo Xian, right? Was this really Dmo Xian? So mischievous, wasn't he afraid of being beaten up by her? Yi-Ching Luo took a deep breath as she ignored him and continued walking forward. Dmo Xian was mischievous for a while before restraining himself. Gu Ming mentioned Gu Jingyu in front of Yi-Ching Luo, which indeed made him unhappy. But that young lady's gentle way of coaxing people. He rather liked it. In future, he could do it a few more times. If Yi-Ching Luo knew what Dmo Xian was thinking, she would absolutely show a grin on the surface while cursing in her heart. A distance away from Dmo Xian, Yi-Ching Luo then stopped in her tracks. She stepped on the ground. Let's do it here. This was in the middle of the courtyard's 2 flower beds, and with the thick trees as a cover, if one were to look from outside the courtyard, they would absolutely not be able to see what was happening in this position. The world group's people immediately followed Yi-Ching Luo's arrangement as they stood in a circle. Gue Wu and the rest stood right at the front. After their positions were arranged properly, Dmo Xian had already set up an indestructible barrier around the surroundings, isolating the courtyard from the outside world. The fusion of the 4 sacred beast pearls. This is the first time I've seen such a spectacular scene. Ghost Thief clicked his tongue as he stared at Yi-Ching Luo's hands, not wanting to miss any detail. The sacred beast bead was the ancestral treasure of the 4 great sections. Normally, it was impossible to see it. Not to mention the fusion of 4 sacred beast beads. Not only were the world group's brothers excited. When Gue Yu and the others saw Yi-Ching Luo taking out the 4 sacred beasts' beads one by one, they couldn't help but stared with their eyes wide open. Especially the demonic bandits. It looked like he couldn't control himself and wanted to snatch all 4 sacred beast pearls. Of course, considering the demonic bandit's nature. He wanted to snatch the sacred beast pearl not because of the power of the divine emperor sealed in it. It was because of the sacred beast pearl's bright radiance that made it look extremely luxurious. Furthermore, on each sacred beast pearl, there was a drop of extremely gorgeous crimson. That was the heart blood of a saint beast. Everyone stared at the sacred beast bead. His heart was filled with excitement. However, there was also some sadness and reluctance. Chapter 3471. Paw. He slapped Gue Yu's head. The bandit struggled to retaliate. Tui. What nonsense. The girl has a venerable sovereign with her. She doesn't need you. After being slapped, Gue Yu grabbed his head and glared at Ghost Thief. But he didn't continue to tangle with the Ghost Thief. Instead he turned his head and looked at Yi-Ching Luo seriously. I'm serious. When you are in the upper realm, take good care of yourself. Don't be like in the Nirvana realm, stirring up trouble everywhere. As he said that, he wiped his eyes fiercely. When you go to the upper realm, there will be no one to clean up your mess. Yi-Ching Luo, it was as if he was facing his daughter who was about to leave home. What was going on? Furthermore, it sounded as if she was always causing trouble in the Nirvana realm. Moreover, she made it sound as if he had wiped her butt before. Let me speak, let me speak. Ghost Thief gave Gue Yu a speechless look, as he stood in front of Gue Yu and looked at Yi-Ching Luo. That person from secluded Darkness Palace is from the upper realm. When you reach the upper realm, you will be in that person's territory. You must be careful, don't fall into other people's trap. Finally, there was someone with a normal style. Gue Yu still wanted to say something. The ghost bandit immediately pinned him to the ground. Ghost Doctor raised his eyes and took a look at Yi-Ching Luo. Remember, in Nirvana realm, your ability is considered to be very strong and you have quite a number of things on you, and also have the help of your war pet, but upper realm is after all the upper realm. No matter what aspect it is a higher realm than Nirvana realm's territory. When you reach the upper realm, you're just like our Nirvana realm's low profound cultivators, there's no difference. Yi Ching Luo pursed her pink lips and replied solemnly, I understand. Even in the Nirvana realm, Yi Ching Luo didn't dare to pat her chest and say that her ability was very strong. After all, there were too many existences in the Nirvana realm that surpassed the Nirvana realm. After exchanging blows with those people, Yi Ching Luo had never felt that her ability was very strong. After arriving at the upper realm, her strength was even more insufficient. After everything was ready, Yi Ching Luo placed the 4 sacred beasts' beads on the ground. She touched the azure dew bracelet. He could feel that Old Man Tsang's current mood wasn't very high. She did not deliberately ask or mention it. Old Man Tsang's real name was Green Ghost. His name was similar to that of the Ghost King and Ghost Marshal. There was definitely some kind of relationship between them. However, Old Man Tsang was now clearly able to transform into a physical body and appear to meet them. However, Old Man Tsang did not do so. Old Man Tsang definitely had his own plans. She transmitted her divine sense into the azure dew bracelet and said, Old Man Tsang, I'm starting to open the passageway to the upper realm now. Keep an eye on it. If there's anything wrong, inform me in advance. Very quickly, Old Tsang's response came from within the azure dew bracelet. No problem. Yi Ching Luo took a look at the crowd and exchanged glances with them for a moment. Immediately, it landed on Dmo Xian. She smiled at him and said, Xian, I'm going to start. With that, she flipped her hand. The devouring flame fan slid out of his hand. Her fingertips moved slightly. The profound light lifted the 4 sacred beast pearls from the ground. The bright red light enveloped the 4 sacred beast pearls. The young lady's own profound energy continuously flowed from her fingertips into the glowing flame fan and then into the sacred beast pearl. The rays emitted by the 4 sacred beast pearls became more and more dazzling. Suddenly, the profound light that separated from the glowing flame fan formed a square totem in midair. That totem was made up of 4 different colors that were connected together. Chapter 3472. While doing all these actions, Yi Ching Luo felt a surge of boundless energy being released from that square totem. The heaven and earth spiritual land started to churn like a whirlpool. It was like a surging wave, crashing fiercely. If it wasn't for Dmo Xian's barrier supporting it, this energy fluctuation would definitely cause the entire courtyard to collapse. This was the sealed energy of the Divine Emperor in the 4 sacred beasts' pearl. It had not been released and it could already cause such a strong fluctuation. If she chose another method, not to contract the lifeline pearl, the sealed energy, along with the 4 sacred beasts' pearl's energy, was released and transmitted to the upper 3 realms. What kind of consequences would it cause? Yi Ching Luo didn't even dare to think about it. Now's the time, contract the sacred beast pearl. Old Man Tsang shouted in her mind. Yi Ching Luo's fingers moved again and the glower flame fan on her fingertips had already turned into a flying curved blade, sparkling with an alluring red glow as it flew straight towards the center of the square totem. Immediately following that, Yi Ching Luo conjured a hand gesture as she placed one hand into her mouth and bit down hard. A large drop of blood gushed out from her fingertips. Without any hesitation, she leaped up and flew towards the center of the square totem. Her bloody fingers pressed onto the center of the totem. Yi Ching Luo's brows suddenly knitted into a bundle. A scorching feeling pricked her fingers. Immediately after, she felt an extremely strong energy spreading from her fingertips into her body. Oh! Yi Ching Luo gave a muffled groan as her chest instantly felt like it was burning. Her profound jade heart couldn't be controlled as it started to stir. As though it was summoning something. Or as though it was sensing something. Lass, stabilize your state of mind and contract the sacred beast pearl first. In her mind, old man Tsang's voice kept on reminding Yi Qing Luo to stay awake. That surging heat like a volcano eruption kept on surging in her chest. Yi Qing Luo took a deep breath as her fingers clenched tightly. Her eyes stared intently at the square totem which was just inches away from her. Indistinctly, she seemed to see a vast sea of stars in the center of that totem. The stars shone brightly and the vast sky was boundless. A beam of light gradually enlarged in the starlight. The entrance to the upper realm was about to open. Just as Yi Qing Luo was about to pass through that vast sea of stars, as though she was about to see the scene on the other side of the passageway. The heat wave in his chest instantly subsided. His wrist tightened. Yi Qing Luo's body was brought into the man's arms. The elegant sandalwood fragrance dispersed the discomfort in Yi Qing Luo's body. The man bent down slightly and his lips stopped by Yi Qing Luo's ear as he whispered, "We're leaving." Has it already ended? Yi Qing Luo looked sideways at the man behind her. Since you can see the passage to the upper realm in the middle of the totem, it means that you have successfully opened the entrance to the passage. Dmo Xian explained, the enchantment that I've set up is also in perfect condition. This means that you've already successfully contracted the sacred beast pearl as your own lifeline pearl. The sovereign's energy is still sealed within the sacred beast pearl. Yi Qing Luo raised her head and looked at the totem which was gradually shrouded in bright rays. Then, how do I retrieve my lifeline pearl? After we step onto the passageway, the sacred beast pearl will automatically return to your body. Dmo Xian pinched her nose. Say goodbye to them, the entrance door is about to close. Not knowing why, Yi Qing Luo felt that. Chapter 3473. Looking at the center of the totem, the rays from the vast stars became more and more radiant. Yi Qing Luo didn't think too deeply about the reason why Dmo Xian was happy. She looked at the brothers who were guarding by her side as her lips curled into a smile. We're about to leave, take good care of yourselves and cultivate well. Remember our 3 months appointment. Everyone's eyes turned red but they forced a smile as they pretended to be cool and waved their hands. What's there for us to worry about here? With your reputation and the Overlord's reputation, who dares to bully us? Rest assured and go to the upper realm with the Overlord. The one who should take care of yourself is you. Yan Xiaoyi looked at Yi Qing Luo, although the Overlord is accompanying you, but after all, there's always a contingency. The Overlord can't take care of you all the time. Yi Qing Luo patted her shoulder and looked at Xiao Jin who was behind her. Jin Zi, I'll leave Xiao Yi to you. Xiao Jin's eyes drooped. He had an ordinary face but that pair of eyes was dazzling and dazzling. In his eyes, there was no way to conceal the tenderness towards Yan Xiaoyi. He stretched out his hand and embraced Yan Xiaoyi as he smiled. I will. 3 months later, I will let you step on the path to the upper realm without any worries, and not let your family have a chance to harass you. Yi Qing Luo met Xiao Jin's eyes as she solemnly made a promise. Xiao Jin was slightly stunned. As though he had not expected Yi Qing Luo to be able to see through his thoughts. Suddenly, Xiao Jin understood why Yi Qing Luo set a time limit of 3 months. Not only to give the brothers sufficient time to cultivate, to have a cultivation target. More importantly, it was to ensure the safety of all the brothers after they reached the upper realm. This young lady, she was obviously not even 16 years old. But she was so meticulous that she had taken into consideration everyone. I believe you. The smile on Xiao Jin's face became gentler. His tone was sonorous and firm, unwavering. Yi Qing Luo smiled. Her vision suddenly shifted towards the crowd, towards the young man who had maintained a calm and indifferent expression from the start. The smile on her lips became even more radiant. Ah Jean. The youth's azure blue eyes flickered as he looked up at her. Yiqing Luo walked over and patted his shoulder with a face full of smiles. Your devil class is class monitor, the world group's group leader, the brothers are all in your hands. Long Yunjian pursed his lips, and the light in his eyes flickered, as if he wanted to say something. However, the words were on the tip of his tongue. But he swallowed it back into his stomach. Yiqing Luo's smile gradually deepened as she suddenly stretched out her hand and wrapped it around his shoulder, giving him a hug. Long Yunjian seemed as though he hadn't expected Yiqing Luo to make such a move. His body immediately stiffened. His nostrils were filled with the fragrance of a young girl. This caused his expressionless face to be covered with a trace of warmth. His heart was beating like thunder. His mind instantly went blank. Ah Jean, I know that you want to go to the upper realm with me. Not only is my background there, it's also yours. But, it's not safe for you to follow them to the upper realm now. How would Yiqing Luo not be able to tell what Long Yunjian was thinking about? She explained, the goo poison in your body is from the upper realm. As for your memories as a human dragon, whether it was intentionally erased by someone or you naturally lost your memories, we have no way of knowing. The only thing we can be sure of is that the goo poison in your body was intentionally done by someone. Chapter 3474. In the Nirvana realm, Long Yunjian could live a good life as a human. Even if Gue Wu and the rest knew that something was wrong with Long Yunjian's aura, he would not expose her either. For him, this was the safest place. But in the upper realm, there were many experts and their strength was unpredictable. If they found out that Long Yunjian was a human dragon, he wanted to form a contract with Long Yunjian. Or they could expose Long Yunjian's identity and lure out the person who used the goo on Long Yunjian back then. They did not have enough assurance to protect Long Yunjian, so the loss outweighed the gain. Long Yunjian's body stiffened, not knowing if he had heard Yiqing Luo's explanation. His azure blue eyes were still wide open in a daze. Yiqing Luo patted his back and immediately got up. His gaze went past Long Yunjian and landed on Tong Ziqing, who was not far away. She reached out to Tong Ziqing. Tong Ziqing pursed her lips and walked towards her. At this moment, Long Yunjian seemed to have suddenly returned to his senses and looked at Tong Ziqing. Yiqing Luo saw the flash of fluster in his eyes and took it all in. TSK, there seems to be a situation. Yiqing Luo's brows curved into a teasing arc. She stepped forward and wrapped her arms around Tong Ziqing's body. While the two of them were hugging, Yiqing Luo patted her back. Ziqing, if Ajan feels uncomfortable anywhere, bring him to the Miaogu family. With Yi around, he will be fine. Tong Ziqing nodded. Yes. It was a light word, but it made the tip of his nose feel like a valve. A guy with a cold face but a warm heart. He was obviously very worried about her. But the expression on his face was still so cold. Yiqing Luo held back her laughter as she rested her chin on her shoulder. Just as he was about to say something, suddenly, from the corner of his eyes, he saw a person in the crowd who had been staring at him with cold eyes. He was slightly startled. Yiqing Luo was no stranger to that person. They were students from the class of gods. That Si Minghan who fell in love with Tong Ziqing at first sight, but because of the battle with Long Yunjian, the goo poison in Long Yunjian's body acted up and he fell into a coma. She didn't expect that he would also join the world group. He had also arrived at the East Wave continent. Was it because of Ziqing? Yiqing Luo shot a glance at Long Yunjian, who was standing stiffly by the side. The smile at the corner of his mouth added a bit of mischievousness. It seemed that after she left, there was going to be a good show here. Who knew who would be the winner of this show 3 months later? As though he had sensed Yiqing Luo's line of sight, Si Minghan frowned and looked at her. A hint of displeasure appeared on his handsome face. That gaze seemed to be warning Yi-Ching Luo to quickly let go of Tong Zi-Ching. He. This was his girl, and he had the nerve to stare at her. A crafty smile surfaced in Yi-Ching Luo's eyes as she tilted her head slightly to avoid Si Mingan's gaze. She lowered her voice and said, "My lady, I hope to hear good news from you 3 months later." Tong Zi-Ching was stunned, but when she heard Yi-Ching Luo's sinister laughter, she suddenly understood the meaning behind her words. Tong Zi-Ching looked down and sighed, "I'm afraid I'll have to disappoint you. Whether there's good news or not, it's up to you." Yi-Ching Luo's vision turned towards Si Minghan's direction as she took a look. "He's here because of you." Tong Zi-Ching knew who Yi-Ching Luo was referring to. She pursed her lips as there was a momentary daze in her eyes. "Ching Luo, should I really take a look at the people around me? Paying attention to one person for too long would eventually become tiring." Chapter 3475. So, do I really have to give up? Tong Zi-Ching's voice was very low, almost as if she was murmuring. Yi-Ching Luo's lips curled upwards as her voice was gentle. "You have the courage to love him for so many years, why don't you have the courage to fight for your own happiness? You've been in love for so many years and you're not afraid anymore, so why are you afraid of fighting for it?" If Long Yunjian didn't have any feelings for Tong Zi-Ching, Yi-Ching Luo would never persuade Tong Zi-Ching. Judging from Long Yunjian's previous performance and his reaction just now, it seemed that Long Yunjian wasn't a match for him. Yi-Ching Luo expressed that Long Yunjian was absolutely not like what he looked like on the surface, having no feelings towards Tong Zi-Ching at all. Long Yunjian was a stupid dragon. You don't know what love is. Therefore, he couldn't tell whether his feelings for Tong Zi-Ching were love or brotherhood. Tong Zi-Ching choked. She lowered her eyes and didn't say anything else. Yi-Ching Luo smiled. "Trying might not necessarily succeed, but if you don't fight for it, you will definitely not succeed. If you're afraid, what's the difference from giving up?" Tong Zi-Ching still did not speak. Yi-Ching Luo was about to appease Tong Zi-Ching. Behind him, Dmo Xian's slightly chilly voice was heard. "Lil Luo, time is running out." Almost at the same time, Tong Zi-Ching raised her arm and pushed Yi-Ching Luo away. He widened the distance between them. Yi-Ching Luo. Look, even the cold beauty who hardly had any emotional changes was frightened by Xian. Wasn't he just hugging her a little too long? He was even jealous of girls. Yi-Ching Luo looked at Tong Zi-Ching and spoke in a low voice. "Let me teach you a way. If you are not sure what feelings Zhan has for you, you can try. Get closer to Si Minghan and you will find some clues." Tong Zi-Ching's eyes widened. Yi-Ching Luo raised her brows. "I'm just sorry to see Minghan." Immediately after, she smirked out in a devilish manner. "Is Zhan more important, or is Si Minghan more important? You can choose for yourself." Saying that, he waved his hand at Tong Zi-Ching, turned around and pounced towards Dmo Xian's direction. Tong Zi-Ching stared blankly at the direction where Yi-Ching Luo had left. Who is more important? In his mind, the first time he met Long Yunjian appeared. He gazed deeply at her with his deep blue eyes that were as beautiful as the deep sea. Then, he reached out to her. His voice was cold, but it brought with it a warmth that she had never felt before. "No one wants you." "What a coincidence, me too. Follow me, we'll become stronger together." That was when they first met. The first words he said to her. Tong Zi-Ching was at a loss. Suddenly, another figure barged into his line of sight. It was Si Minghan. He walked towards her and called out, "Zi-Ching. Don't be sad, there's still me." He paused, smiled and continued, "We're still here." His eyes were clear and warm. It seemed to be able to dispel all the coldness in Tong Ziqing's body. Tong Ziqing instinctively took a step back because of Si Mingan's approach. She raised her head and met his eyes. Vaguely, it was as if they had returned to the time when they first met. The youth planted a kiss on her forehead. A clear and bright voice seemed to ring in her ears, "Little beauty, remember my name. I am Si Minghan." Ziqing. Suddenly, someone tapped her forehead. Tong Ziqing suddenly regained her senses. That pair of beautiful eyes didn't have the usual coldness as it revealed a trace of confusion. "Why are you in a daze?" Si Minghan curled his lips at her. His smile was mischievous, but it was very handsome. That pampering tone was a tone that would never appear from Long Yunjian. Chapter 3476. Tong Ziqing's throat was slightly dry as she lowered her head. Before she could finish her words, her wrist suddenly tightened. Her body was pulled backwards as she fell into a firm embrace. Above her head floated a young man's cold and deep voice, "Student Si Minghan, please don't touch our female students. Class monitor." Tong Ziqing's heart trembled as her cheeks instantly turned red. She was now leaning into Long Yunjian's arms. Her face was pressed against his chest. The distance was so close that she could almost hear his heartbeat. Si Mingan's face sunk as he stared at Long Yunjian. When the two men's gazes met, there seemed to be electric currents flashing as they intertwined continuously. Yiqing Luo bounced into Dmo Xian's arms as she carefully looked at the man's expression. Following that, her peripheral vision shot towards Tong Ziqing's side. "See that, this is all my credit. Perhaps 3 months later, we'll be able to attend Ziqing and Ajan's wedding." Her hands hugged Dmo Xian's waist as she raised her head and blinked her eyes at him, looking extremely adorable. This coquettish look was only shown in front of Dmo Xian. Dmo Xian's eyes drooped as his peach blossom eyes gazed at the coquettish young lady in front of him. His thin lips curled as his gaze was deep. "My wedding with you, when will we be able to drink it? Aren't I working hard for our future?" Yiqing Luo's cheeks blushed slightly as she smiled. She arched into Dmo Xian's arms. "So, after we reach the upper realm, you must take good care of your future wife," he burst out laughing as his eyes were filled with pampering. Yiqing Luo's eyes curved even more as she smiled, crafty and enchanting. Oh la, the jealousy crisis had been resolved. Success in pacifying. All right, that's enough. Gue Yu pushed Gue Wu and Zhou Mo. "Hurry up and leave, the entrance is about to close." Gue Wu and Zhou Mo, as well as Kitty Li who was in Zhou Mo's arms, were forcefully pushed to the center of the totem, under the radiance. The three figures immediately disappeared in the radiance. Yiqing Luo held Dmo Xian's hand as she looked at the surrounding crowd. "I'll wait for you all, my brothers. See you 3 months later." Her words had just ended. The light of the totem swallowed the two of them. The separation now was for a better reunion. When the two of them disappeared, the crowd was stunned. The tears that many people had been holding back finally rolled down their cheeks. Everyone raised their heads and stared unblinkingly at the totem that was gradually dimming in the air. Then, even the totem disappeared. The surrounding barrier was also dissipating bit by bit. Everyone stood in place, maintaining their original posture, and remained silent for a long time. Yiqing Luo and Dmo Xian, who were swallowed by the light, appeared in a vast sky. The gradually disappearing square totem slowly turned back into 4 sacred beast pearls of different colors. The pearls circled in the air and merged into Yiqing Luo's body. Yiqing Luo only felt an astonishing energy merging into her body and mind. His blood began to boil as if it was being corroded by an oppressive might. His limbs and bones were rapidly flowing with a terrifying temperature. just when she thought that the feeling of blood boiling in her body would continue. In an instant, it disappeared. That's right. In a split second. Without warning. That feeling disappeared. What replaced it was an extremely carefree and relaxed feeling. Chapter 3477. The four sacred beasts pearl has been integrated into your profound jade heart and has become your lifeline. Dmo Xian saw Yiqing Luo's face had returned to calmness. He raised his hand and placed it on her forehead. His slender fingers wiped away the sweat on her forehead. Yiqing Luo nodded. I thought I was going to advance again. You have integrated with the power of the divine weapon, which has caused your body to consume too much energy. If you advance at this time, it will not be a good thing for you. Dmo Xian curled his lips at her. Yiqing Luo looked up. So, after I contracted with Xian Gui, you stopped me when I was about to break through the barrier? Dmo Xian rubbed her fine black hair. Xian Gui's energy, I've already sealed it within your profound jade heart. When the time is right, when your body is able to withstand it, this energy will be released once again. Yiqing Luo knew. This was because Dmo Xian had spent a lot of energy to seal the power of Xian Gui in her profound jade heart. She hooked her lips and circled his neck. I will work hard to grow up quickly, so that I can marry my dear Xian. Dmo Xian held her slender waist tightly. Don't move around, this is already the passage to the upper realm. If you accidentally touch something, you will be swept into another unknown plane. Yiqing Luo was stunned, her eyes widened. In front, Gui Wu, Zhou Mo and Kitty Li were floating there. Yiqing Luo looked around. In all directions, there was a vast sky, the blueprint of the universe. It was a bit like the feeling of being in the God's array, the battle plane. Dmo Xian explained by the side, this passageway looks magnificent and beautiful, but every inch of it represents a plane, or an unknown space. Yiqing Luo raised her head in confusion. Are there so many planes of space here? Of course. Dmo Xian nodded. Like the dark forces before, they belong to Nirvana realm and the border of the upper realm. Yiqing Luo had heard of this before. But she had always thought that this place was the four big planes of Nirvana realm and the upper realm. The other forces could only be regarded as forces scattered around. Who would have thought that it really was an independent plane of existence? Then how can we head to the upper realm? Yiqing Luo asked. Dmo Xian's slender finger pointed at her profound jade heart. Use the power of the sacred beast orb to open the passage and meditate on the upper realm. The power of the four sacred beast orbs will send us to the exit of the upper realm. Yiqing Luo started to meditate according to Dmo Xian's instructions. A ray of resplendent light blossomed from Yiqing Luo's chest. Yiqing Luo suddenly felt a strong suction force coming towards her. In her ear, the man's deep voice brought her an infinite sense of security. Hold on to me, don't let go. Swish, the dazzling light enveloped everyone. Yiqing Luo closed her eyes from the piercing rays. Immediately following that, her and Dmo Xian's body swayed violently. The dazzling light gradually dissipated. The suction force also disappeared. He could hear Kitty Li panting in panic and Zhou Mo's comforting voice in a soft voice. In a daze, Yiqing Luo raised her head and looked at the man. Xian, have we arrived? We're here. Dmo Xian held her hand and interlocked their fingers. I'll bring you out. Chapter 3478. She followed behind Dmo Xian just like that. She didn't notice that at the instance when she and Dmo Xian held hands and turned around. A thin crack slowly widened. In front, Zhou Mo, Gui Wu, and the rest had already walked out of the tunnel and disappeared into the vast sky. Yiqing Luo and Dmo Xian followed closely behind. Just at this moment, There was a sudden loud rumbling sound behind them. Following that, the entire vast sky started to gather like a spiral hurricane. Xian. This tyrannical hurricane made Yiqing Luo's heart ache as she swiftly grabbed Dmo Xian's wrist. She had no idea what was going on at all due to the sudden gust of wind. Dmo Xian held her hand and was about to stretch out his arm to pull Yiqing Luo into his embrace. But his hand had just lifted up. When his vision touched Yiqing Luo's back, his expression suddenly changed. The green veins on his forehead were popping out. Lil Luo, hold me tightly, don't let go, he shouted in a hoarse voice. Beside her ear, that tyrannical hurricane was howling and she couldn't hear Dmo Xian's voice clearly. She only felt that the hurricane was getting closer and closer to her. But from Dmo Xian's expression, this hurricane was dangerous. Piak piak piak, boom. A few explosions were heard. Yiqing Luo felt her ears were buzzing. In the haze, she saw Dmo Xian stretching out his hand towards her. But there seemed to be something between the two of them. She could only hold on tightly to Dmo Xian's interlocked hands. In this unknown place, towards the surroundings, it was unknown and at a loss. She totally didn't know what had happened. The hurricane was getting closer. What followed was the wind brought by the hurricane, which blew her body into the air, as though it wanted to sweep her into the hurricane. Piak! Massive amounts of energy exploded in the vast sky. Yiqing Luo and Dmo Xian's interlocked hands seemed to be pricked by something. It was so painful that Yiqing Luo's brows twitched. Following that, there was a feeling of being electrocuted as it started to spread from their interlocked hands. This electric shock. This caused the two of them to loosen their grip a little. Yiqing Luo seemed to have seen Dmo Xian opening his mouth, saying something to her. But the hurricane was too strong for her to hear. Amidst the explosive energy, everything in front of him became hazy and blurry. She couldn't see Dmo Xian's lips at all. She only knew that Dmo Xian's expression was anxious and flustered. He said something to her. He was fighting with something on one side. However, his attention was still focused on her. In addition, the electric shock was getting stronger and stronger. Just at this moment, a huge pulling force came from Yiqing Luo's back. Yiqing Luo had yet to regain her senses. That hand which was holding Dmo Xian's slipped out of Dmo Xian's large palm. Her body felt light, and she was forcefully thrown out. Then, everything went black. She lost all consciousness. Little Luo. Air. Dmo Xian's eyes widened, his eyes filled with ruthlessness and ruthlessness. Looking at the place where Yiqing Luo disappeared, he shouted out Yiqing Luo's name at the top of his lungs. He clenched his fists tightly, as his scarlet-red eyes stared sharply at that crack in front of him, and that whirlpool that attacked. Secluded palace. These 3 words popped out from the slits of his teeth. He leaped into the air and rushed towards the crack in the wall. Chapter 34-79. When Yiqing Luo opened her eyes in a daze, her ears were filled with noisy noises. Where did this little beggar come from? How dare he block Princess Yulu's way? What are you all waiting for? Quickly throw this little beggar aside, don't tarnish Princess Yulu's face. Similar noises pierced her ears. Following that, someone grabbed her arm. She frowned and wanted to struggle. But before she could move, she was pressed onto the ground by the 2 people who were holding her arms. What the hell? What the hell was this situation? The sharp pain in her arms made Yiqing Luo regain her consciousness. In front of her was a noisy street. On both sides of the street, there were various stalls. And at this moment, all the people on the street were surrounding her, pointing and whispering to her. In front of her was a young lady dressed in emerald green maid attire, looking at her with arrogance and disgust. And her two hands were held tightly by two fierce-looking old maids. The imposing manner from them told Yi Qing Luo. These two old maids were not weak. Yi Qing Luo's mind was spinning rapidly. Her mind flashed with everything that happened in the upper realms passage yesterday. She was pulled into the hurricane by a pulling force. And when she opened her eyes again, it was this scene in front of her. Where was Ah Xian? What was that hurricane? And what was this place? Numerous questions surfaced in her mind. But she couldn't get an answer. Hurry and bring her down. Princess Yulu will be here soon. Don't let Princess Yulu see this beggar. That maid instructed arrogantly. The old maid locked Yi Qing Luo's arms and supported her as they walked towards the alleyway. Yi Qing Luo didn't resist. She still hadn't figured out the situation. She didn't know what plane this was. And there were so many onlookers. If she resisted, she might not be able to gain any advantage. Yi Qing Luo was dragged to the deep end of the alley. The hubbub was isolated behind his ears. The two old maids threw her onto the ground. Yi Qing Luo then saw the faces of the two old maids clearly. They were around 50 years old. He looked ferocious and fierce. It could be seen that his hands were stained with blood. Yi Qing Luo was secretly speculating on the disparity between herself and these two old maids. Little beggar, if you die, don't look for us. If you want to blame someone, blame yourself for appearing on Princess Yulu's way back to the city. One of the old maids looked at her coldly. His tone was filled with killing intent. Another old maid took out a dagger from the space pocket on her waist and walked nearer to Yi Qing Luo. These two old maids apparently didn't put Yi Qing Luo in their eyes. His attitude was extremely casual. When the old maid held the dagger and got close to Yi Qing Luo, Yi Qing Luo suddenly flipped her palm and locked the old maid's wrist. Then, it spun rapidly. He snatched the dagger. Immediately, he slashed the dagger toward the old maid's neck. This series of actions was completed in an instant. The old maid didn't even have time to react. He fell to the ground, blood spurting out. You. The other old maid widened her eyes and looked at Yi Qing Luo in astonishment. You're actually a cultivator. Yi Qing Luo gently flicked the bloody dagger. Her fingertip flicked lightly. The dagger spun and flew away. It stabbed steadily into the chest of the old maid who fell to the ground. She stood up and patted the dust off her body. Either answer all my questions obediently, or I'll send you down to accompany your good partner. Chapter 3480. That old maid's face sunk, her face filled with malice. His vigorous figure fiercely attacked towards Yi Qing Luo. Yi Qing Luo narrowed her eyes slightly, using her eyes to glance at the profound heart jade in the old maid's body. Not bad. This old maid's profound heart jade was actually green grade. Green grade, in the profound heart jade's grade, was the 4th grade, considered intermediate grade. A old maid's profound heart jade grade was this strong. From the old maid's attack, the profound energy fluctuations released, and the green grade profound heart jade's fluctuations. Yi Qing Luo could roughly guess. The old maid's own profound grade should be around sky profound 3rd grade. Just as the old maid's sinister claws were just one step away from Yi Qing Luo. Yi Qing Luo backhanded the old maid's wrist. She lifted her leg, and fiercely kicked the old maid's abdomen. The old maid's body was kicked out, and hit the wall of the alley. The old maid rolled a few rounds, and spat out a large mouthful of blood. The quiet alley, blood stained the ground. That old maid wanted to prop herself up, but found that her chest was surging with blood. Even moving was a bit strenuous. The old maid opened her eyes wide in shock, looking at Yiqing Luo. Like she couldn't believe it. The one in front of her looked like a beggar, without any fighting power, so weak that one finger could pinch her to death. Her strength was actually above her. Obviously, she couldn't sense any profound chi fluctuations on this young lady. Could it be, this beggar was actually an unworldly expert? The old maid's heart suddenly jumped, and the gaze she looked at Yiqing Luo was filled with fear. Yiqing Luo, who didn't know that she was regarded as an unworldly expert, slowly walked to the old maid's side. She lifted her leg and stepped on the old maid's chest, looking down at the old maid, her pink lips lightly hooked. Now, do you know what to choose? I know. The old maid was scared silly, and nodded repeatedly. Yiqing Luo curled her lips in satisfaction. Where is this place? Why do you want to make a move on me? The old maid was stunned, not expecting Yiqing Luo to ask these questions. After meeting Yiqing Luo's eyes, the old maid shivered and replied in a trembling voice, This is without embroiling city. Without embroiling city. Yiqing Luo's pupils contracted slightly as she bent down and increased the strength of her foot on the old woman's body. You said this is without embroiling city. The old maid grimaced in pain and mumbled, It's without embroiling city. Yiqing Luo's fingers that were hanging by the side of her body slightly bent. This place was actually without embroiling city. She was now in the territory of the upper realm. Ah Xian had explained this to her before. In the upper realm, the earth realm was one of the lower levels. It was also their destination this time. The earth realm was different from the nirvana realm. The earth boundary was divided into 3 main cities that were located in 3 directions. Without embroiling city, without Yama city, without shadow city. Every main city had its own city lord, which was equivalent to the royal family of the 4 continents of the nirvana realm, managing their own cities. However, when they were in the tunnel, she had heard Dmo Xian mention it before. Their destination was Shadowless City in the Earth domain. Over at Shadowless City, there was a friend of Dmo Xian. Yiqing Luo was still curious. What kind of friend would a person like Dmo Xian have? In the tunnel, she didn't even know what had happened, but fortunately, she wasn't swept into other unknown spaces. At least, this was still the Earth domain. It seemed that she had to adapt to the situation in the Earth domain as soon as possible and rush to Shadowless City to meet up with Ah Xian and the rest. She was suddenly swept away by the hurricane. You're tuning into the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.